My dear friends, my name is Mary Mackillop. I have been called a great Australian because of some of the things I did for my country. I would like to share with you my story, and in this letter, I will introduce you to my family. My father, Papa as we call him, was Alexander Mackillop. He was born in Scotland, and as a young man, he studied to be a priest in his native Scotland and in Rome. He didn't become a priest, but decided to migrate to Australia. He left Scotland in the sailing ship Brilliant and arrived in Sydney at the beginning of 1838. He found a job with a company called Campbell & Son, who imported goods from other countries. A year later, his parents, brothers and sisters arrived in Sydney. In 1840, my father and his family moved to Melbourne. My mother was Flora MacDonald, also from Scotland. She left Scotland with her parents and two brothers. The voyage was a sad one because her brother Alexander caught typhoid fever and died on the way out. Her family settled in Darebin Creek, near Melbourne. My parents met in Melbourne on 14th of July 1840. They were married by Father Georgian. My father at the time had a good job and he bought a lovely house in Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. It was here I was born on 15th of January 1842. My father chose Mary for my name and my grandmother wanted Helen. On 18th of February I was baptised Mary Helen in St Francis's Church, Melbourne. When I was only a few months old, my father lost his job and our fine home had to be sold. We went to live with relatives at Glenroy and then moved to Darebin Creek. Before my second birthday, I had a little sister, Marguerite, or Margaret as she was called. I found her name quite difficult to say, so she was called Maggie. Maggie was a great favourite with our aunts and uncles and often stayed with some of them. She was the peacemaker in our family. She loved nice clothes, and when we were too poor to buy new things, she would enjoy herself window shopping. Maggie became a teacher but caught rheumatic fever and was often sick. She hid her suffering under a smiling face, although at times it was difficult. One of her friends said she was a lovely, angelic creature. Maggie died at the age of 29. When I was 3, my brother John was born. I loved him very much, and as we grew up, we became great mates. We shared the responsibility of looking after our smaller brothers and sisters and helping them. John became a carpenter and builder, and when I was teaching in Penola, he used his skills to turn a disused stable into a bright, airy classroom. When work was scarce, he went to New Zealand, hoping to find a job. One day, he was thrown from a horse and died a week later from tetanus. His death was a great shock to us all. John was just 23 years old. Alexander was a favourite name among our relations, so the next boy born in our family was called Alexander. I was 5 years old when Alec, as we called him, was born. Before he reached his first birthday, Alec died, and there was great sadness in our family. Even though I was only young when he died, I always remembered him. When Anne Catherine was born, there was joy again in our family. We nicknamed her Annie. She was full of fun and liked playing jokes on unsuspecting guests and family members. Her nickname for me was Old Molly. Annie was very musical and often played the pianos at local parties. Annie taught school as well as music. She taught with me at Penola, but when the Sisters of St. Joseph commenced, she decided not to join us. Annie was always near when I needed her and nursed me through some of my illnesses. She was 80 years old when she died. Alexandrina was the 4th girl in the family. Her long name was shortened to Lexi. Like John and me, Annie and Lexi became great friends. When found together, you could be sure they were up to pranks. I was often the target. Lexi thought about joining the Sisters of St. Joseph, but decided that life in the outback might be too difficult for her. She became a sister of the Good Shepherd and spent her life caring for the poor and needy. Although Lexi's life was short, she died at the age of 32. It was full of love for Jesus. When Donald was born, Mama wasn't well, so I became his little mother. A nurse had been hired to look after him, but one day I found her drunk and unable to do her duties. I dismissed her and took over the job of looking after Donald and the other little ones. I was 10 years old. Donald, when he completed his schooling, decided to become a Jesuit priest. We kept in touch with each other by letter while he was studying in Europe. When he returned to Australia, he worked with the Aborigines in the Northern Territory. He had great love and respect for them and even appealed to the government for financial help for them. He died at the age of 71. The baby of the family was Peter. When he was small, our family was split up because of a shortage of money, and the children went to live with different relations. He grew into a kind, thoughtful boy, and when he finished school, he thought about becoming a priest. At the age of 18, he caught a serious illness. Mama and Annie nursed him, and he bore his sickness bravely, but 2 years later, he died. He was 20 years old. In my next letter, I will tell you about myself. Signed, Mary Mackillop.